begin using jQuery, the first thing that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to initiate the docReady script. So this will be our first introduction in actually using some jQuery. Basically, in order to use jQuery, you're not going to be able to do anything until the page is loaded, until the page is ready. So you want to wait until the page is ready, then you want to select whatever it is that you're selecting, and then give it the appropriate action, change it, or whatever it is that you want to do. So it can get a little complicated, but in a nutshell, that's the basic formula. Even in really advanced effects, they rely on the same formula. You just have multiple interactions of the last steps and maybe just a little more JavaScript. But we're going to start with something really basic to begin with. So before we interact with any HTML elements on the page, those elements had to have been loaded, and we can only change them once they're already there. So jQuery has a really easy built-in event that executes as soon as possible, and because of this, pages and applications appear to load much faster to the end user. This particular bit of script is called the docReady script, and basically the docReady function says that when our document is ready to run our function, then execute whatever it is that you want to do. This is definitely one of the most common snippets of jQuery that you're likely to see, and it's a good idea when you start using jQuery just to run a simple alert test like the one that we're going to be doing to ensure that you've properly included the jQuery library and that nothing odd is going on. So almost everything you do in jQuery is going to need to be done after the document is ready. So we'll be using this action a lot, and we'll refer to it as the docReady event. So let's just take a look at this and talk about it before we actually implement it. Basically, this is using the same formula that we talked about in an earlier lecture when we were talking about the anatomy of jQuery. And basically the selector in this case is the document, the action is the ready, and the parameter is a function that is going to run some code. So in this case, the function is going to be an alert that's going to say the page is ready. And a function basically is, how you would define a function is it's just a set of instructions that is basically encompassed in one kind of command. Once you actually list out what the instructions are, then you can run them by just saying the name that you assigned for that function. So you'll see functions being used quite a bit as well. So let's go ahead and let's look at a page and implement this onto a page. I'm going to be using Dreamweaver, but I'm only going to be using the code view in Dreamweaver. So if you don't have Dreamweaver, you can certainly use a text editor, anything that you could actually implement code in. There's many dedicated programs that allow you to code HTML code as well as other languages, but whatever you have is fine. You could use Notepad or just text edit if you don't have anything like that. And we'll just take a quick look at this page. This page is just a really basic HTML page. If we look at it in the browser really quick, it just looks like this. So basically it's just a page with two sets of lists on it. And if we look at our HTML, I have one CSS style that I've applied to the body tag, and I just have assigned a font face to it, font family to it. And then I have my body tag right here, and then within the body we just have some headings. I have an H1, I have an H2, I have an unordered list that contains all the numbers, I have another H2, and then I have another unordered list that contains a list of colors, and then of course the closing body and the closing HTML. So this is the file that I'm starting with. It's really basic, doesn't contain anything too special at all. In order to use the jQuery, the first thing that we need to do is we need to link up the library so that the jQuery is actually being identified on the page. So that's the first thing that we're going to do, and we are going to basically accomplish that by just adding in a script tag into our HTML. So here somewhere inside the head tag, and it doesn't matter where you do it, it just has to be before the closing head tag, you'll add a link to your script. So I'm just going to put mine right after the title tag, and I'm going to basically open up a script tag, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set the source of my script, and then I'm going to set the source to be the location where I've actually downloaded the jQuery library. So I've already gone to the jQuery website, I've downloaded the library, and I've saved it into a specific location. I generally will create a scripts folder within my root folder of my website, and I'll go ahead and I'll save the jQuery library there. So how I'm working here, and if you're using my exercise files, you'll see how these are actually implemented, and if you're not, you can just set up your own files. But basically, I have my example pages inside a folder, and then the scripts folder is one level up. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to drill into the folder. So I'm going to do a .. which is going to take me up one directory. I'm going to locate a folder called scripts, and then inside the scripts folder I have my jQuery dash, and at the time of this recording I'm using the 1.5.2 minified version. You may have another version, which is fine. You'll just put whatever version you're going to use. You'll list the version number, and you want to make sure you encompass that inside of quotes. And then it's a good idea to go ahead and set the type so that your page is going to load a little bit quicker by being able to identify that this is a JavaScript type of document. In addition to that, you can also set the char set, and the char set again is just going to help your page load a little bit quicker. And in this particular example, we're going to be using a char set that is equal to a UTF-8, which is fairly standard. So we'll go ahead and type that by typing UTF-8, and I'll close my quotes, and I'll close my tag there. Whoops. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to close my script tag as well. So there we have our first little script. So this basically is going to point to my jQuery library. The next step I need to do is I need to create a separate JavaScript file that I can place my scripts in. You have two choices. You can either put your scripts in an external file, or you could put them internally in your particular document. It's generally a good idea to keep the scripts in a script file, because ultimately if you're going to be using the scripts on multiple pages, it's going to allow you to be able to load them much quicker. So we're going to actually be keeping our scripts in a separate file. This will be a little bit easier just to see the JavaScript that we're going to be writing as well, so that it's not going to be convoluted and mixed up with something else. So I'm going to go ahead and just create a new document in Dreamweaver, and Dreamweaver, you can choose to make any type of document. I'll select a JavaScript document. The only thing it does is it just puts this comment here, which ultimately you don't really need. It doesn't really matter. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save my file, so I'll just do a save as, and I will go ahead and save this in my scripts folder. So here's my exercise folder. I'm going to come up one level, and here's my scripts folder, and you can see that here's our jQuery script. I actually have a script file already. I'll just overwrite this one and place the new script file in there. So I'm going to go ahead and just name this script.js, and you can name it anything you want. That's just what I'm going to call mine, and I'll go ahead and click save. And it's just going to ask me to replace because I already have one. So now I have my script file. I'm going to go back into my document that I'm actually working on, and the next thing that we're going to do is we'll go ahead and we'll make a link to the script file. So the script file is essentially located in the exact same place as the jQuery reference file. So I'm just going to copy paste this line of code, and I'll just change the name of the file to script.js. Everything else is going to stay the same. So I have these two links that are going to be linking to these external JavaScript files. Now we're basically ready to start creating some JavaScript on our page. So we're going to go ahead and write our first little document ready line of code, and we'll do that in the next movie.